Hello, lovely people. Hello, soulmates. I trust you all are in perfect condition. Today, on behalf of Gifted Hands Fashion House, I'll be teaching you how to make a ball gown. You know, these days, ball gowns are worn even by adults. But what I'll be teaching you here, I'll be making a ball gown for a child of 10 to 12 years. And stay tuned and watch us to the end. I believe by the end of this class, you too will be able to make one for yourself. These are the materials we'll be working with. Here is my doll face satin. Here is my net. This is my net. And then here is my flowered net. Here's my lining. We'll be also using our hard net. Here's the hard net. So for now, these are the materials needed. Let's move to work. Okay, here's my fabric. I'm using this for the upper part. I've cut it out and I'm working with a half length of 12 inches. Here's my 12 inches and I have 2 inches seam allowance. You can see it here. I folded both the front and the back together. Here's the front and this is my back. The back is about 1.75 inches bigger than the front. This is the back. It is 1.75 inches bigger than the front. You can make it 2, you can make it 1.5, you can make it 1. It is for my zip allowance. I'm going to fix my zip at this back part. I placed it equal this way. They are equal here. The front and the back are equal here, but they are not equal at this left hand side, and it's also the closed part. It is so because I'll be attaching zip to this one that is bigger. I cut out my fabric with my bust measurement because my upper part, the measurements I'll be using, the biggest part there is my bust. My bust is 30, my waist is 25. So my bust is bigger than my waist. So I folded this fabric with my bust measurement. And all bust must be divided by 4. It is constant. So when I divide my bust by 4, I get my bust of 30. When I divide it by 4, I get 7.5. From this close edge, notwithstanding that this one is bigger, all measurements must start from here, from this close edge. So from this point, I'll mark out 7.5, but I need to add allowance. The allowance is for my sewing. When I'll be sewing, I'll be needing all this allowance. So 30 divided by 4 is 7.5, plus 2 to 3 inches seam allowance is 9.5. Here is it. So I'm okay with what I have here. So I folded it before taking this measurement, and then I marked half an inch, as you can see. From this half inch, I now took my half length plus 2 inches seam allowance respectively. Now, before I fold this fabric, before I cut out this fabric, I folded them into two equal halves. You can see it. This is the back, it is folded into two, and this is the front, it is also folded into two. So after I've folded it, I now brought out my zip allowance, which is this. Then I used my pin to secure it so that it will remain steady. This is our starting point or shoulder line. Now from the shoulder line, I'm going to mark the chest line. The chest line is the same thing as the armhole line. Chest line, bust, and armhole are all on this chest line. So to get our chest line, you divide whatever your bust is by 6 plus 1.5 or 2 inches seam allowance. My bust is 30. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 5 plus 1.5 or 2 will give me, if I have to use 1.5, it will give me 6.5. I'm okay with this. 6.5 is my chest line. I'll mark this 6.5 all the way. Mark 6.5. Sorry. This is why you need to secure it with pin. So this is my chest line. I've marked it. I hope you are following. This is my starting point, my chest line, my half length, and then the seam allowance of 2 inches. Next thing I'll do, I'll take my underboss length. I'm working with an underbust of 9 inches. Here is it. Here's my underbust length. I'll mark the underbust length all the way. So now, this is my shoulder line or starting point, my chest line, my underbust line, my half length line, and then seam allowance. Having done this, I'm going to mark my shoulder now. My shoulder is 10. 10 divided by 2 is 5. Plus half inch or 1 inch seam allowance, give me 6. See how I placed it? I didn't place it from this zip allowance. I placed it from the this first line. So a shoulder of 10 divided by 2 is 5 plus 1, 6. I mark 6 here. At the same point, I can take my neck measurement. I'm working with a neck of 2.5, 3 inches. Now I'm going to connect this shoulder line. This shoulder line I marked, see it here. I'm going to connect it to this chest line. In other words, if I want to make it so that it will be straight, I want to get an accurate measurement, this 6 inches, I'm going to mark it also on this chest line so that I can get a straight line. Now I'll use my ruler and draw out my line. Having done this, the next thing to do now, I've marked my neck width, so I'm going to take my neck length. To get my neck length, it depends on what you want. I'll be using a neck length of 4 inches. So I'll connect it now. From this point, I'll connect it down here. Then I'll connect it this way as well. This is my neck area, and then this is my armhole area. Next is to curve my neck. It depends the kind of neck you want. If you want a V-neck, you can just take it straight down like this. If you want a curved neck, you can just curve it. But before I do that, remember I joined both front and back fabric. So whatever I'm doing now, I'm doing it for both fabric. So what I'll do here, I'll be getting 2 neck lines, 2 neck curves here, and the armhole I'll be doing it twice because I need to get for both front and back simultaneously. So what I'll do now, I've gotten 4 already. This 4 is for the front neck. This 4 here is for the front neck. So what I'll do, I need to get the back neck. I'll use 1.5 inches for my back neck. I'll connect it as well. Like this. So I need to curve it now. I'll curve the back neck, and then I'll also curve the front neck as well. If there's any difficulty or if there's something you don't understand, I'll be on the comment section to get all your questions. Now the next thing to do, you can see I have 2 necklines. This one is for the front fabric and this is for my back fabric. The next thing to do is to connect my armhole. Like I said, I'll be doing it in 2 places, for front and for the back. Now to connect for the back, I'll simply do it like this, straight down, just curve like this. So I've curved the armhole for the back. This is back armhole. If you don't know how to get the curve, you can just measure about 2 inches or 1.5 inches, and then you form your curve from there, right? So I've gotten this for the back. I'll curve for the front, because front armhole and back armhole cannot be the same. So to get the front armhole, I'm going to measure out half of this line, this armhole line. I'll measure half of it. So I have here 6.5 inches. So half of 6.5 is 3.25 plus half 3.75. So I'll mark 3.75 here. You can see it. At this 3.75 that I marked, I'll take half an inch this way. I'll place my tape like this and measure half an inch. Yes, half. If you're making for an adult, you measure 0.75. So this is how I'll be connecting my armhole. I'll take my armhole from this top area, from the shoulder line of the starting point. I'll connect it like this to this half inch I took before curving it back. Okay, so this is the difference between front armhole and back armhole. This here is the back armhole and this here is the front armhole. Lest I forget, I'll take my slant because my shoulder slant. All shoulders are not straight. All shoulders are slanted. Hence this slant. So I'll connect my slant like this. I marked ½ inch from this starting point line. You can mark 1 if you're making for an adult. And then I also need allowance to join my shoulder when I'll be sewing. So that's the need for this allowance I left up here. And then I'll connect it as well. So I'll be cutting from here, not here, so that when I'll stitch it, I'll stitch from here. We are done with this part. The next thing now is to take my bust measurement. The bust is taken from the chest line. So I'll place my tape like this. From this close edge, I'll measure my bust. I'm working with bust of 30. 30 divided by 4 is 7.5. I have 7.5 here. Plus 2 inches seam allowance will give me 9.5. Yes, my 9.5. The next measurement I'll be taking is my under bust circumference. I'll take it on the under bust length, which is this line. My under bust is 28. 28 divided by 4 is 7. Yes, 7 plus 2 will give me 9. Yes, my 9. On this line, which is the waistline or the half length line, I'm going to mark my waist circumference. My waist circumference is 25. 25 divided by 4 is 6.5. Yes, 6.5. Yes, 6.5. Here plus 2 inches seam allowance is 8.5. Mark it. So what I need to do now is to connect these lines I have marked out. I'll connect it like this. This to this one, and then okay, connected it. Then I'll bring it down as well because this is also part of my fabric. I don't need a dart for this dress because it is for a child. If I have to make this for an adult, definitely I will need that because that goes with bust. So a child of 10 years is not busty unless for rare cases. The next thing I'll do, this line here, I need to mark my zip line. Let me connect the line so that I can notch it out. So I'll notch my zip line. From here I'll notch it, and then up here too I'll notch it. This is all that is needed for the upper part of this ball gown dress, ball gown or ball dress. So what I'll do now, I have to cut what I have marked. Whenever you join front and back fabric and you mark both of them together, make sure to start cutting from the back markings. You first of all cut out only the back markings. Don't make a mistake of cutting the front before the back. If you do so, you spoil your work. So I'll cut the first place to cut the back neck, after which I'll cut here, and I'll also cut the back armhole. Then I'll trim off this one. So, having done this, I'm going to remove this back. I'll remove this back part so that I can perfectly get the front, and I'll cut the front alone. I've removed the back. I'll place it aside and then I'll cut the front. Here's the front neck. And here the front armhole. So here's what we have for our front. This is the front blouse. And this is the back blouse. This back part, I'm going to split it open from this line. You can see it. I'll divide it into two equal halves. This is all that is needed for the cutting of the upper bodies of our ball gown. You can use this for any upper bodies, whether ball gown, simple gown, provided there's going to be a half length. This is the method you use for it. Now the next thing we'll do is to trace this. This doll face satin is just like a lining. It's not the main fabric. So I'm going to trace the main fabric on this, what I've just cut out now. I'm going to trace the main fabric on it. So here's it. I've traced it and I've cut it out. I'll be using this flowered net to coat my doll face satin. It's going to be like this. If you want to cut it out, make sure you fold it before cutting. So this is for the front, while this is for the back. So this is all for the upper part of our ball gown. We'll be moving down to the lower part.